Welcome. My name is Jim Hennessy. I'm with Montreal County Ag Agency, working in conjunction with the Ward County Extension Office. We're putting together a video today basically showing the technique as far as freeze branding. We're going to talk about a couple of things. First of all, the equipment used for freeze branding. We use an iron that is basically a brass iron, and it is a 3-inch iron. You can get these in a 4-inch also. Most of these you have to buy through like a Gempler's, NASCO, some of those type outfits, and they'll run a couple $100 to $400 depending on what type you get. These work the best, and pretty good iron. The cooling agent that we use when we cool these down is a liquid, and the liquid that we use is a methyl alcohol. We pour that into a cooler. We actually have a cooler we'll show you in a little bit. The irons sit down into the cooler. We cover all irons so the heads are covered with the methyl alcohol, and then we add a cooling agent. Our cooling agent is dry ice. And the dry ice has come out with kind of a new form, and I'm going to lay it on the table. Dry ice is typically about 110 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 110, where when we use liquid nitrogen, it's about 320 degrees negative Fahrenheit. As you look in the cooler, basically all you're seeing is the methyl alcohol and then the pellets of dry ice in there, and the bubbling is basically the cooling down of the methyl alcohol, which in turn cools the irons. So what we get with dry ice is it's a more uniform as far as when we put the irons on. We don't have to worry about scarring, being too cold, and a lot of times we have a lot of inconsistencies as far as with liquid nitrogen. Some people still like to use it. It's quicker, they think, but you know, as far as consistency over the years, we found out here as far as on the Rockman feedlot, all the years doing this, that the dry ice works the best. The new form is basically a pellet. You can get a zoom up on that. And it's just compressed CO2 that makes an ice crystal. Found with the pellets is you put your irons in, cover them with methyl alcohol, pour the pellets, and they go around all the irons, and that works the best. These were gotten at Praxair, which is out of Minot. There's other outfits. You can even order a little machine hooked up to a CO2 tank. Around about $1,200 to make these, and I don't think it's very cost effective, so buying these, from what Chris told me, is pretty reasonable. So about half the cost if you're buying the big blocks. The other thing I want to stress as far as when we do freeze branding is that taking your time, making sure everything's clipped up, which we're going to show here in a little bit. We need to clip them, get the hair cleaned off. We use the same alcohol, methyl alcohol. We'll wipe the area down and then make sure it's saturated. We put that iron on. On our black-hided cattle, we'll run anywhere from 55 seconds to a minute. We've had different people talk about age. Does that have a difference? Age does have a difference. As cattle get older, their hides get a little thicker, so we want to make sure that we put a little extra time on. Younger cattle, we can probably get, you know, more into that 50 seconds. There is a difference between the black and the red-hided cattle. I have no idea what the difference is. Basically, hair coat. It's a winter coat most time when we're doing this, and we couldn't do it all times during the year. It's just a difference in hair coat that you're dealing with. So part of the freeze branding deal, when you get set up to do it, make sure you have enough cows so you're not wasting your time just doing 2-3 head. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But the nice part is if you're going to do a bunch of them, make sure you bring enough neighbors in or whoever you got for help. You'll notice in this operation, you can see 4 people that are over here working. We got 1 guy timing, we got 3 people on the irons. We got another person hiding in the back who has to record. It takes a pretty good crew to be able to pull everything off. And part of that being is, I mean, to hold iron steady and get a consistent brand that actually shows a nice indent by the time you're done. So one of the first things we do is we come up, get the animal constrained, make sure we shave off the hind quarter where we're going to put the brand. Clean it with the alcohol, and then turn around once that's done and saturate a little bit, and then put your irons on there, and we hold them on there for a minute like we said earlier. If you'll notice over here on the side, after many years, these guys have picked up a timer, and everybody was always like, who's timing, who's timing? Well, now we've got an automatic timer up here on this chute, which really works nice. They just reset it every time, as you'll notice Chris just did. So timing is important, and there has been situations where did you time or did this person time, and you don't get consistency as far as your time. That will, and that's important. Make sure that you get some way of timing or having somebody that's doing it. So one of the things we got to make sure is for every cow that comes through here that we freeze brand, we need to record it. Today on the Rockman Ranch, they're using their ID scanner. Brett, he takes care of all that. He gets the cattle in the chute, scans it, and then we can go inside and make sure that everything's recorded. The clipping on it, just make sure you got a big enough area. You pick the number of brands. You should have 3 to 4 brands is usually what most people are doing. And then Gary's actually going to wet the area with methyl alcohol, wipe it down, make sure it's good and clean. And most time it should be saturated enough so that when you're ready to put the irons on, then you'll get a good brand. Now as they go on, you'll notice they hit the timer. Timer goes on, got 3 irons. And if it's first time coming up, you may not be as consistent as these guys are doing. They've been doing this for about an hour already this morning. And cattle don't always work with you. After about 8 to 10 seconds, you'll find out that the cattle get that bite or that coldness from the iron, and they try to fight a little bit. So most of these guys are already knowing that it's coming, and they're ready and holding the irons as steady as they can. You have to remember this 110 degrees negative 110 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's got a little bit of a bite to it. That's why the irons are steaming, but the alcohol is also allowing us to take and put a decent freeze brand on the side. Now their timer went off, and since the heifer was fighting, they held just a little bit more. As we get closer in, you'll notice irons will leave a little bit of an indentation, about an eighth to maybe a third of or eighth to a quarter of an inch indentation. Basically shows that the freeze brand froze that area, and if you feel it to a touch, it's firm and froze.